Well, it's easy to see now, a year later since it was released, that I was building up to something. I had done a couple of singles, a couple of EPs, and I just thought this was going to be the next single or EP. It never ever crossed my mind that I would be able to have that amount of material to make an album. So a lot of it was about testing the water and what I was kind of capable of, I suppose, in terms of playing and singing, but most importantly, writing. So the idea was just to use what I had at that time, technology-wise, which wasn't much. I recorded some of my earlier stuff on a phone, and then later on on a laptop, but I never really had the equipment. So making this thing, this thing that became the record, I suppose it was an exercise in building up the capability, if you like, to make music as I was making it. So I was adding stuff all the time. I set myself up at the kitchen table and I was just adding wee things. I would get a decent mic, I would get something to hold the mic, I would get a cheap audio interface. But the breakthrough was getting the Mac. So rather than trying to use an old laptop, invested in a second-hand MacBook, got into GarageBand, and then later upgraded that to Logic. But that was a game changer. So it definitely freed me up to experiment in different ways at writing, and generally, writing to kind of loops and seeing what would come out. So a lot of the songs were just kind of experiments, but I recorded absolutely everything. So when I knew I was onto something, generally I would have the thing kind of laid down as I was recording. So by the time often by the time the song was written, it was recorded as well.
It's only a love song, it's only a love song, it's alright. I'm waiting for the keyboards to give me a melody idea. Patiently waiting for the keyboards to give me a vocal line. It's only a love song, it's only a love song, it's alright. It's only a love song, it's only a love song, it's alright. Is that much? If it ever means that much, it's only a love song, it's only a love song, it's alright. When I left you in the morning, with photographs of Rome as it was falling.
I think there's a lot of really good songs in it. I think the breakthrough for me was definitely Only Got a Year, in terms of just giving me confidence that I was onto something song-wise. I was onto kind of like a new level songwriting, and that song was definitely the one that had the most versions from the demo, and then by the time it was done, it was up to like version 9 or something like that. Just changing it and iterating it and changing the lyrics, just adding things. But I knew quite early on that was going to be the key song. Certainly didn't have any plans to be stuck in one particular genre. I was open to absolutely everything on this record because I was experimenting with using a keyboard for the first time and using that quite heavily on the album. I stuck to just using one guitar, one bass, the keyboards, and having the Mac and having new software and all that opened up massive, sounds pretentious like, but massive sort of colour palette, if you like, to create new sounds and experiment with things I could never have done before.
This is the message. You can take it, you can leave it, but be defeated.
So when a couple of months into recording, I was kind of feeling like I might even have enough material for a new EP. Then it was like, well, I've got 5 songs now, and then it was 6, and then it was 7, and then I maybe started thinking, at what point could that possibly be an album? What do you need for an album? And then I still felt it was possibly beyond me, but I thought, well, I'm writing songs that I would have a wee period of time where I would just sit every time I sat down at the kitchen and try to come up with an idea. One would come, I was really lucky, and sometimes I would complete a song from nothing in a day or two. So by the summer 2020, the songs were coming thick and fast, and the lockdown and all the restrictions and stuff like that was awful for everybody, obviously. But from a selfish point of view, it gave me time that I'd never had before to really just commit to writing and recording. So a lot of important songs were kind of sort of coming over that summer. The Message, Time to Get Up. So there's, just stuff I'd never done before. Upbeat songs, and just different songs that I would never have thought to write. I thought I had to sit with an acoustic guitar to be a songwriter in a darkened room and write a song. But once I started writing in a really different way and changed my mindset into how I worked best and how I could write music and write songs, it got a lot easier. Problem I started having towards the end was that I had too much songs, which was unthinkable at the start. I had maybe 18 songs. A couple of them were instrumental, and I was kind of thinking, what do I do here? What do I take off? It whittled it down to 16 songs that I thought were kind of complete and finished, which was too much. We're getting towards a double album territory. But also I felt that I would never do this again. This was going to be my one and only album that I would ever do in my life. And so I just decided to put everything on it. Was it the right decision? I don't know. One of the things I'm most proud of is the artwork. And like probably most of these things, it was just an accident. Down in Bristol, just taking photos of random graffiti and street art, which I like to do when I'm there. I find that a really inspiring place. And then just maybe a week or two before I had to kind of submit the album, I was just going through some of these photos and I just kind of honed in some graffiti on a bridge, and that ended up being the image. And I thought red was really, really striking. I never thought to use red and white, but I think it really stands out, and it's become, well, to me at least anyway, it's become quite an iconic image, and I still think it looks great. So I just listened to it from start to finish, kind of conscious that it'd been out for a year, which made me kind of want to listen to it with sort of fresh ears. And there's no doubt, some songs are stronger than others, and that's always the case with any record, even my favourite records, there's no doubt about that. I've done a few albums since, and I've honed my skills, I think, in terms of production, making them sound probably better than that first record, but there's just something really warm about it. I can remember recording all of the songs, sitting at the kitchen. I've got memories of each one of them sort of individually, and they all kind of mean a lot to me. Some really personal songs in there, some kind of more experimental sounds, but I'm massively proud of it. I still sometimes can't believe that I managed to do that at that point, to kind of decide to just invest a bit of time learning how to write songs, how to craft songs, more about music, about recording, about production, about mixing, master, and all these things I think I've got better at. But this is something special about that, about the first one. It was uncharted territory. It's more than just an album to me. It's a time where I was kind of building up capability for recording in the future, getting to know the equipment, software, investing in all that kind of stuff. And it never felt like a chore or anything like that. It was always fun. I always wanted to do it. It was always raring to sit and work on it and spend all the time it took to get something that I was really happy with. And a year down the line, I still think it's it's the best I could do, and it was 100 times better than I thought I would ever be able to do, or anything I'd be able to achieve kind of music wise. And I've done a few albums since, and I'm kind of sort of working on my fourth one now. But there's just something special about that first one. It was just a sort of perfect storm of things coming together, and a really sort of creative time for me, and a time of sort of really learning and just doing it, without really overthinking it. And yeah, I'm massively proud of it, and I think it stands up well, and I'm hoping I'll feel the same about it in 10 years' time. But anyway, if you haven't heard it, it's a year old now. It's called The Last Ghost, an album by The Last Ghost. It's my debut record, something that I thought I would never achieve in a million years. It's still by far the most successful release. It continues to get really good streams and all that, and things that are important nowadays, I guess, to measure the success of something. And modest success, obviously, but for me, it's surpassed everything I could have ever hoped for when I started it. And yes, check it out.